On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Collaborate.
To work with someone else to produce or achieve something.
Examples:
Collaborate with the police. Collaborate on a press release. She agreed to collaborate with him in creating new artwork.
Modern.
Of or belonging to the present time or recent times.
Examples:
Modern poetry. Pre-modern agricultural society. Their headquarters are in a modern skyscraper.
Foster.
To promote a growth, to take care of another person's child, usually for a limited time, without becoming their legal parents.
Examples:
Foster a better relationship. Foster 2 kids. The pastor contributed to fostering the sense of a community embracing all classes.
Collaboration.
The act or situation of working together to create or produce something.
Examples:
Collaboration between companies. Collaboration platform. The partnership program requires a mutual collaboration between both agencies.
Brainstorming.
A group activity or business method in which a group of people meet and think about something at the same time to solve a problem or to create good ideas.
Examples:
Brainstorming session. Do a brainstorming about a new product. Many companies employ brainstorming as a good way of generating innovative ideas.
Session.
A formal meeting or series of meetings for the execution of a particular group's functions, a period spent doing a particular activity.
Examples:
The morning session. The court session. Parliament is now in session.
Slack.
Lacking intention or firmness, loose or not tight, having a relaxed or lazy attitude.
Examples:
A slack rope. Slack performance. The team's slack attitude towards deadlines caused the project to fall behind schedule.
Instant.
Happening immediately, with no delay.
Examples:
Get instant access. An instant reply. His pleasant face turned cold in an instant.
Aspect.
One part or feature of a situation, problem, subject, etc.
Examples:
Non-technical aspects of the job. Aspects of social, political, and economic life. His professional experience includes all aspects of media production.
Overload.
To put too much a load in or on something.
Examples:
Overload the circulatory system. Overload a muscle. Be careful not to overload the laundry machine.
Launch.
To send or propel something into the air or space using a device such as a rocket, missile, or spacecraft. To make something available or on sale for the first time.
Examples:
Launch a spaceship into orbit. Launch a big attack. The company is set to launch its new product line next month.
Vaccine.
A substance that is put into the body and protects them from disease by causing them to produce antibodies, equals proteins that attack harmful bacteria, viruses, etc.
Examples:
Development of vaccines. An oral vaccine. The mRNA vaccine was approved in less than a year because it did not contain the fragments of the target virus.
Endeavor.
To make an earnest attempt or effort, to strive or work hard towards a goal or objective.
Examples:
Endeavor to succeed. Endeavor as much as possible. We will endeavor to find a solution to the problem as quickly as possible.
Execute.
To kill someone, especially as a legal punishment, to carry out or perform an action, duty, etc.
Examples:
Execute a bold strategy. Execute a double play. The mafioso who collaborated with the police was executed.
Pandemic.
An outbreak of a disease that affects many people over a very wide area.
Examples:
Flu pandemic. Global pandemic. They fear a pandemic of a new type of virus.
Drift.
To move smoothly and slowly in water or air, especially as a result of outside forces, with no control over the direction.
Examples:
Drift down the stream. Drift away on a raft. I drifted around for years in Europe before going to university.
Convinced.
Completely certain about something, having a strong belief or conviction in a particular religion.
Examples:
Convinced of the idea. Convinced criminal. The public is convinced that the Prime Minister has committed fraud.
External.
Belonging to or situated outside of someone or something.
Examples:
External factors. External commerce. When a company discloses information to the market, an external auditor verifies them.
Zone.
A specific area, region, or section that is marked off or defined in some way.
Examples:
Time zone. Zone defense. He was reluctant to leave his comfort zone and try something new.
Discovery.
The act or process of finding information, a place, or an object, or learning about something that was previously not known.
Examples:
A scientific discovery. the great discovery of the century. Her research team made an important discovery.
Participate.
To take part in something.
Examples:
Participate fully in conversation. Participate in the program. The majority of students actively participated in the college's intramural sports program.
Eager.
Showing enthusiasm and a strong desire or interest to do something.
Examples:
Eager anticipation. With eager eyes. The children were eager to start the treasure hunt.
Fray.
To become worn or damaged at the edges or with use, to become angry or upset, especially in a public or noisy way, to fight or engage in conflict.
Examples:
Fray tempers. Fray our relationship. The edges of the old blanket had started to fray, so I decided to sew them up.
Colleague.
One of a group of a coworker, especially in a profession or a business.
Examples:
Collaborate with colleagues. Former colleague. I decided to seek counseling on the advice of my colleague.
Examine.
To study or consider a person or object attentively and thoroughly to learn something about them.
Examples:
Examine the data studiously. Examine the issue. Initially, we must examine all project-related expenses.
Trigger.
To make something happen suddenly, to cause something such as a device, machine, etc., to function.
Examples:
Trigger a biochemical response. Trigger inflation. The incident triggered a political controversy.
Spark.
To start something or make it grow, especially suddenly, to emit a tiny piece of fire or electricity.
Examples:
Spark his interest. Spark a chain reaction. The bankruptcy of the giant conglomerate sparked turmoil in the stock market.
Desire.
A strong feeling of wanting to have or do something.
Examples:
Unsatisfied desire. Fleshly desire. Low sexual desire typically correlates with low testosterone levels.
Accomplishment.
The successful completion of a task or goal, an ability that has been acquired by training.
Examples:
Proud of his accomplishments. The accomplishment of a social goal. Graduating from college was a major accomplishment for her.
Construct.
To build or create something, to assemble or combine different parts to form something whole.
Examples:
Construct a 3D image. Construct a dam. He constructs hypotheses that no mathematician has ever imagined before.
Fulfill.
To meet the requirements or expectations, to achieve or realize.
Examples:
Fulfill a contract. Fulfill a lifetime dream. It was the first time for her, but she fulfilled the role of priest.
Bolster.
To support or strengthen, often by adding extra assistance or resources.
Examples:
Bolster confidence. Bolster the economy. The company hired a new advertising agency to bolster its marketing efforts.
Identity.
The fact of being who or what somebody or something is, the features, emotions, or ideas that distinguish persons from one another.
Examples:
Mistaken identity. Identity as an individual. The terrorist's identity remains unknown.
Boggy.
Containing a lot of soft, wet soil, marshy, swampy, or waterlogged.
Examples:
Boggy land. Boggy area. The trail through the forest was so boggy that our shoes became soaked.
Bottleneck.
A narrow or busy section of road or a junction where the traffic often gets slower and stops, anything that slows down development or progress, especially in business or industry.
Examples:
Performance bottleneck. Bottleneck in production. Memory bandwidth is a significant bottleneck in this computational simulation.
Admire.
To have regard for or respect for someone's qualities or the actions they have performed.
Examples:
Admire the subtlety of the distinctions. Admire kids with attitude. We all admire him because he is a nobleman.
Trait.
A particular feature of your nature.
Examples:
Chemical trait. Personality traits. Multiple genes may influence behavioral traits concurrently.
Satisfaction.
A pleasant feeling you have when you have fulfilled a desire, need, or expectation or have achieved something.
Examples:
A sense of satisfaction. Customer satisfaction. The mediated settlement brought satisfaction to both sides.
Cycle.
An interval during which a recurring sequence of events occurs, a bicycle or motorcycle.
Examples:
The cycle of the seasons. Go to the workplace by cycle. The food chain causes a material cycle.
Addictive.
Causing a strong desire or compulsion to use or consume repeatedly, often to the point of dependency or harm, habit forming.
Examples:
Highly addictive. Addictive substance. The new video game was so addictive that he stayed up all night playing it.
Thorny.
Full of or covered with thorns, prickly, of a problem, difficult to deal with.
Examples:
The thorny path of life. Thorny problem. The rose bush had thorny branches.
Inevitably.
In a manner that cannot be avoided or prevented.
Examples:
Inevitably decline with age. Inevitably reach the consumer. Because of his excellent performance, he will inevitably be promoted.
Jam.
A situation in which something becomes stuck because of a dense crowd of people, vehicles, etc., a preserve of crushed fruit.
Examples:
A traffic jam. A jar of jam. The shredder in the print room often has paper jams.
Ignore.
To intentionally not listen or pay attention to.
Examples:
Ignore her advice. Ignore a ban. Since independence, the area has been completely ignored.
Coordination.
The act of making all the people involved in a plan or activity work together effectively, the ability to control different parts of the body effectively.
Examples:
Data coordination. Loss of muscle coordination. Synchronized swimming needs close coordination between 6 performers.
Overwhelm.
To defeat someone or something by using a great deal of force, to have a strong emotional effect on somebody.
Examples:
He was overwhelmed with gratitude. Overwhelm opponents by numbers. Too much variety may overwhelm and confuse viewers.
Opportune.
Suitable or happening at a time that is suitable or convenient for a particular purpose.
Examples:
Opportune occasion. An opportune remark. The phone rang at the most opportune time.
Persistent.
Continuing firmly or obstinately in the course of action, despite difficulty or opposition, lasting or enduring without fading or being lost over time.
Examples:
Persistent cough. Persistent data. Despite the setbacks, he remained persistent in his pursuit of his dreams.
Nag.
To annoy or irritate someone persistently with repeated complaints, requests, or criticism. Noun, an old or overworked horse.
Examples:
Nag about the minor thing. Nag political leaders. She couldn't stop nagging her husband to take out the trash.
Frantic.
Marked by uncontrolled excitement or emotion, wild, frenzied.
Examples:
Frantic pace. With frantic haste. The mother was frantic as she searched for her lost child.
Reluctant.
Unwilling or hesitant to do something because of doubts or fears.
Examples:
Slowly becoming more reluctant. Reluctant readers. He was reluctant to share his thoughts on the matter.
Delegate.
A person sent or authorized to represent others, in particular, an elected representative sent to a conference. Verb, to transfer power to someone.
Examples:
Delegate a routine task. Send a delegate. The delegate from the small country was not allowed to speak at the meeting.
Jerk.
To make a sudden, sharp movement or cause something to do this.
Examples:
Jerk her head back. Jerk the rope. The driver suddenly jerked the steering wheel to the left to avoid hitting the deer.
Unfortunately.
By bad luck, unluckily.
Examples:
Unfortunately caught in a shower. Even more unfortunately. The treatments were done, but, unfortunately, were unsuccessful.
Unproductive.
Not producing or able to produce very much or desired results.
Examples:
In an unproductive manner. Unproductive industries. The negotiations between labor and management were unproductive.
Burnout.
The state of being exceedingly exhausted or unwell, either physically or mentally, as a result of overworking.
Examples:
Burnout syndrome. Mental burnout. He suffered from job burnout because of hard work.
Chant.
A simple melody or tune, typically one that is repeated or sung in a monotonous way. Verb, recite with musical intonation.
Examples:
Chant melodies. Chant in the chapel. The soccer game crowd broke into a chant of "Go, team, go."
Binary.
A system of numbers that uses only two digits, 0 and 1.
Examples:
A binary number. Trading in binary options. A binary star is a system in which two stars revolve around each other.
Obligation.
The state of being morally or legally bound to do or pay something.
Examples:
A deep obligation. Pay an obligation. You are under no obligation to finish the job.
Juggle.
To manage or cope with several tasks, responsibilities, or situations simultaneously, to keep several things in the air at once, as in a juggling act.
Examples:
Juggle a job and motherhood. Juggle with facts. It can be difficult to juggle work, family, and social life, but finding balance is important.
Deadline.
A date or period by which something must be done.
Examples:
Transfer deadline day. The deadline for applications. No matter what, we must have this done before the deadline.
Prioritize.
To assign a higher level of importance to something compared to other things.
Examples:
Prioritize tasks. Prioritize people over cars. The organization prioritized the needs of the community in its decision-making.
Bandwidth.
The amount of data that can be transmitted or processed at one time, often used to describe the capacity of electronic communication or computing systems.
Examples:
Bandwidth allocation. Increase bandwidth. I don't have the bandwidth to take on any new projects, as I'm already working on multiple assignments.
Accomplish.
To finish or achieve something successfully.
Examples:
Accomplish a goal. Accomplish military operations. Humankind took centuries to accomplish true democracy.
Opt.
To make a choice from a range of possibilities.
Examples:
Opt out of society. Opt for a traditional wedding. I decided to opt for premature retirement.
Self-reliant.
Able to rely on oneself or one's abilities, not needing or depending on others for support or guidance.
Examples:
Self-reliant person. Self-reliant community. After moving to a new city, she became more self-reliant and learned to navigate the streets independently.
Involve.
To include or affect someone or something as a necessary part of something else.
Examples:
Involve a lot of paperwork. Involve a high degree of risk. The investigation involves several government agencies and is expected to take several months.
Empower.
To give someone the power or authority to do something.
Examples:
Empower my life. Empower the secretary to do the same. The company empowered employees to buy low-price items without approval to achieve efficient purchasing.
Celebrate.
To acknowledge a memorable or good day or event with a social gathering or enjoyable activity.
Examples:
Celebrate his election. Celebrate Christmas. He celebrated the 10th anniversary of his tenure.
Succumb.
To fail to oppose something, such as desire, pressure, or some other opposing force. To die or suffer badly from the effect of a disease or injury.
Examples:
Succumb to cancer. Succumb to old age. He finally succumbed to temptation.
Temptation.
The desire to do or have something that you know you should not do or have, the act of influencing by exciting hope or desire.
Examples:
withstand temptation. Many temptations. Researchers often succumb to the temptation of accolades and commit research misconduct.
Intentional.
Done, made, or performed with purpose and intent.
Examples:
intentional destruction of evidence. An intentional walk. The law distinguishes between accidental and intentional killing.
Craft.
An activity that requires a particular skill in making things with one's hands.
Examples:
craft arts of Japan. Craft manufacture. His hometown was where he first acquired the craft of wood carving.
Strategy.
A detailed plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall goal.
Examples:
military strategy. Develop a strategy. Our plan includes a comprehensive marketing strategy.
Identify.
To recognize someone or something and say or prove who or what they are.
Examples:
identify handwriting. Identify gene sequences. I will introduce you to how to identify the leading causes of the malfunction.
Priority.
Something that is more important than other things and should be dealt with first.
Examples:
priority call. Priority seating for elderly. Her priority is to be a mother.
Horizon.
The line at which the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet, the range of interest or activity that can be anticipated.
Examples:
the event horizon of a black hole. Business horizon. As the sun set, the colors of the sky merged with the horizon, creating a beautiful orange and pink hue.
Emotional.
Relating to people's feelings.
Examples:
emotional health. Emotional distress. Human emotional responses vary widely depending on the society to which they belong.
Decision.
The act or process of making up someone's mind about something, a choice or judgment reached after considering options.
Examples:
decision authority. A selfish decision. She was struggling to make a decision between two job offers.
Align.
To put or arrange two or more things in a straight line or to form a straight line.
Examples:
align the economic interest of each other. Align with a historical trend. Both parties are now entirely ideologically aligned.
Upside.
The positive aspect or potential of something, the upper side of something.
Examples:
Have no upside. Market upside. Many people see the upside of traveling as an opportunity to experience new cultures and broaden their horizons.
Outcome:
The result or effect of an action, event, etc.
Examples:
Improved student outcomes. A desirable outcome. They awaited news of the outcome of the election.
Maximum:
The largest or greatest amount or value attainable or attained.
Examples:
Maximum limit. The maximum speed. The maximum temperature recorded this summer was higher than average.
Contribute:
To give something, especially money or goods, to provide or achieve something together with other people.
Examples:
Contribute a large sum of money to the fund. Contribute to society. Government workers cannot contribute to political campaigns.
Crazy:
Stupid or not sensible, very angry.
Examples:
Crazy about cars and racing. A crazy scheme. The rain and thunder are crazy today.
Downward:
Moving towards a lower position or a lower level.
Examples:
A downward slope. Maintain downward compatibility. The stock market has been in a downward trend for the past month.
Spiral:
A curve that coils around a central point and gets progressively farther away from it as it goes around.
Examples:
Spiral staircase. Spiral design. The leaves of the fern were arranged in a spiral pattern.